Wanted to get your thoughts on Dricus as a champion, his run so far, and what do you make of his grappling?
What do you think, guys? How I done with this guy, Rob? How he done? Rob took him down. So if Rob took him down, so there is salam alaikum.
Sean Strickland dismissed Khamzat Chimaev's takedowns as overrated and boldly declared Dricus du Plessis will beat him with ease at UFC 319.
CDP and Khamzat got announced.
Oh no.
Yeah.
Where's that gonna be at?
Chicago.
Oh no. They're letting the terrorists in.
Do you think he beats CDP or do you think CDP retains?
You know what's hard? So those little Chechen, dude, they can grapple. And like someone like me who I've been training with for years, I usually could counter wrestle and grapple him. So I just don't know if Dricus can be able to counter wrestle him. But if he can, I think he wins all hands down, you know.
Strickland didn't hold back when he said stopping Khamzat Chimaev's takedowns is not hard, and predicted with full confidence that Dricus du Plessis would beat him without much trouble at UFC 319. It's a bold claim that stirred up plenty of debate, especially considering Chimaev's fearsome reputation as a relentless wrestler and pressure fighter. But Strickland isn't making that call blindly. He shared 10 rounds across 2 fights with du Plessis and has also sparred with Chimaev. With that kind of first-hand experience, Strickland's take carries some real weight, and he's backing du Plessis to expose holes in Chimaev's game when they finally clash.
Well, did you see TDP and Khamzat got announced?
Oh no shit.
Yeah, August 16th, on my birthday.
No, let's go.
319,
Let's
yeah.
go, dog.
Yeah.
Where's that gonna be at?
Chicago.
Oh no shit. Letting the
Do you think, you know, he beats CDP or do you think CDP retains?
You know what's hard? So those little Chechen I don't want to say Chechen, not Chechen, Swedish, but those little Chechen whore, like, dude, they can grapple. And like someone like me who I've been training with for years, I usually could counter wrestle and grapple him. So I just don't know if Dricus can be able to counter wrestle him.
Yeah.
But if he can, I think he wins all hands down, you know. I mean, I sparred the Chechen whore, like hands down, I think Dricus wins. But it's just gonna come down to like, are you gonna be able to like stop that counter? Are you gonna be able to counter wrestle? And like you can, it's not hard. You just gotta like, it's not hard.
Yeah.
But you know, I've been training this these little terrorists for forever, so it's like I just gotta know how to do it.
In contrast to Strickland's no-nonsense prediction, Demetrius Johnson brought a more measured and technical breakdown of the potential matchup. He pointed to du Plessis' unpredictable striking and movement as elements that could disrupt Chimaev's rhythm. Johnson recognized Chimaev's dominance in grappling exchanges, but noted that his output tends to dip as the rounds go on. He believes that if du Plessis can avoid heavy damage early and continue applying pressure in the stand-up, it could become his fight in the later rounds.
This is my hot take. If Chimaev cannot get him down, but let's say he does get him down, and he doesn't finish him, I think he's fit. Granted, he might be sick or whatever, but if he cannot figure it out within those first 2 rounds, I think DDP is going to beat him.
Tim Welch offered a psychological angle that many often overlook. He discussed how du Plessis might be able to throw Chimaev off mentally by disrupting his rhythm and forcing the fight into unfamiliar territory. While Welch admitted that du Plessis might not be as technically sound in wrestling exchanges as Chimaev, he highlighted the importance of mindset and confidence in fights that get ugly and emotional. According to Welch, du Plessis' mental toughness could play a big role, especially if Chimaev gets frustrated when he can't impose his usual dominance.
Khamzat versus Strickland too. Khamzat said in training I submitted him multiple times. In a fight, it's a little different. And Strickland, you've seen Strickland get dumped before. He is an expert at getting up. He's really good wrestling, really good jiu-jitsu. But just like you said, can you survive the first fucking 3 minutes with that dude? Gnarly.
That's fire.
I miss the crazy Khamzat, but now that he's getting into these top 5 elite guys, I mean, it's probably better that he's not crazy Khamzat.
Dude, I mean, that looked like crazy Khamzat to me.
All week being respectful of the press conferences, respectful of like everything.
Yeah.
It was a lot different than he used to be.
DDP has a way of poking at opponents too, though, so he might be able to pull that crazy Khamzat back out of him.
I'd love to see DDP beat him.
On the other side of the debate, Caio Baralho offered a more cautious outlook for du Plessis. The rising middleweight warned that stopping Chimaev's takedowns is far from a simple task. He pointed out that Chimaev blends pressure, movement, and striking in a way that goes beyond basic wrestling tactics. Baralho emphasized that it would take more than solid defensive wrestling to neutralize Chimaev, because the Chechen fighter's timing and rhythm make him uniquely difficult to deal with. According to Baralo, many fighters underestimate how complex Chimaev's approach really is.
Maybe he's a little overrated.
Terrence Crawford versus Canelo Alvarez at 168 pounds.
Canelo's really good. But I think Crawford is special. I know he hasn't fought the resume everyone wants, but you have that or you don't have that ingredient. And I think he has it. Canelo's really good. He's tremendous. But could he be a tiny bit overrated? The greatness is...
Michael Bisping also contributed his thoughts, particularly focusing on Chimaev's ability, or potential lack thereof, to maintain his pace in a 5-round fight. While he praised Chimaev's explosive power and finishing ability, Bisping was clear that Chimaev has yet to be tested in a full 25-minute war. He referred back to Chimaev's fights against Gilbert Burns and Kamaru Usman, where the early storm didn't result in a finish, and the fighter started to show signs of slowing down. In Bisping's eyes, that dip in energy could become a major liability if the fight stretches into the later rounds.
I will say the two best finishers in all of MMA right now, Tom Aspinall and Khamzat Chimaev. Khamzat, 14 fights, 12 stoppages, 2 decisions, as I said earlier. And I'm telling you, he's going to try and finish Dricus du Plessis straight away. And that's his best bet. Now, Dricus du Plessis, this man's on fire, right? He's 23-2 overall. He's on an 11-fight win streak. He's got 10 wins in the UFC. And of course, this will be his 3rd title defense. He beat Sean Strickland by unanimous decision. He choked out Israel Adesanya in the 4th round. And he took the belt, as we know, in a close split decision victory over Sean Strickland way back at UFC 297. But they always say when you become the champion, you get 30% better. This man is improving all the time. He's got tremendous grappling of his own. If Khamzat Chimaev thinks that he's going to go out there and just take down Dricus du Plessis and just choke him out, right, like he's some schmuck, like he doesn't know what he's doing, like he's not someone that choked out an entire black belt jiu-jitsu team one after the other, then I think Khamzat Chimaev will be in for a rude awakening. The 2 times Khamzat went to a decision was when he couldn't get the finish in the 1st or 2nd round. And that's when Gilbert Burns started to take over. That's when Kamaru Usman had a lot of success and settled the score, and it almost came out as a draw. And now it's not 3 rounds, it's 5 rounds. And the way that Khamzat Chimaev fights is the way that he fights. He ain't gonna change. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. When you lose fights, you say, well, I never really lost. It was a chance to learn. And that is true. When you do lose, you address some things. You address your preparation. You address your weight cut. You address your diets. You address all kinds of shit that you might have been doing wrong. And one of those things might be that I address the fact that I don't pace myself. As I said, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. He's going to go full steam ahead. Khamzat Chimaev's going to go right at him. He ain't going to fuck about. He's going to swing for the fence. He's going to pick him up. He's going to try and slam him down. He's going to go berserk. He's going to go mental, and that's what we love about him, and that's why we can't wait to see this fight. But if he doesn't get him out of there in the 1st round or the 2nd round, and he's starting to gas come round 3 and round 4 and round 5, he is looking to be anywhere else but in the middle of the octagon in the United Center, right? Dricus du Plessis is going to take over, and that man is a big, powerful son of a bitch, and he is a finisher as well.
Jack Hermanson, who once grappled with Chimaev, shared a more neutral viewpoint. He recognized how dangerous Chimaev can be in the opening minutes, but said the fight could turn into a close battle if du Plessis manages to survive the early push. Hermanson anticipated a back-and-forth contest and didn't see either fighter running away with it easily. For him, it all comes down to whether du Plessis can get through the opening stages without taking major damage.
That's going to be an amazing fight, and I think Khamzat is going to pull it off. But I do think that, you know, especially early, I think it's going to be tough for Dricus. But if he can push the fight into the later rounds, I think he can have an advantage. So it's going to be a really interesting one. But I'll bet my money on Khamzat in that one. But, you know, not like some people think that he's just going to run him over. But I think it's going to be a tough fight.
Yeah, I think so too. I think it's really interesting, especially like you said, if it goes into the later rounds. We've seen DDP go 5 rounds. I know he does look tired, right? Like he has this weird style where he kind of looks like he slows down, but he's
always
going 5
there.
rounds though, right? Like that's something that's kind of interesting. Where I don't believe Chimaev has before. So.
No, exactly, and we have seen like in the was it like the Burns and the Usman fight where he looks a little bit more tired in the later rounds. So yeah.
How was it? I know this was a couple of years ago, but how was it wrestling him, like just from the strength perspective? Because obviously he used to fight at 170, he's at 85 now, but I hear that he is very strong for the weight class. What was it like when you got to wrestle him that one time?
Nah, he's a really good, technical and super strong. You know, he looks like a tall, lanky guy, but he feels like a super strong guy. You know, he has amazing strength in his grips, and yeah, he's something special, you know. So
Joe Rogan added another layer to the discussion, focusing on Chimaev's transition to middleweight. He pointed out that Chimaev's cardio may actually improve at 185 pounds now that he no longer needs to cut as much weight. Rogan argued that the brutal weight cuts at welterweight might have affected Chimaev's ability to maintain his energy in past fights. With the move up, Rogan believes fans might see an even more dangerous version of Chimaev, one who can keep pushing at a high pace for longer periods.
Not to bet on it.
It's hard to say
It's
because
hard-
we don't know what happens.
There's so many question marks. We don't know.
Khamzat just shoots from like 15 feet away and gets a hold of your
But I
legs.
look at styles make fights, and you never seen Drakus fight a good wrestler, and Khamzat's one of the best.
And you got to think his endurance is probably going to be better at 85 than it was at 70 because of the cut.
Yeah.
For Khamzat, it's like 85 is really where he should have been all along.
But again, he gassed out against Usman. That was at 85.
Dana White confirms Khamzat Chimaev is next. Yeah,
That's
Before
fun.
the fight, though.
I wonder where that is.
See, I would give DDP the advantage over Khamzat right now. Not to bet on it.
It's hard to say
It's
because
hard-
we
you
don't know what happens.
There's
to
so many
Khamzat.
question marks. We don't know.
Khamzat just shoots from like 15 feet away and gets a hold of your
But I
legs.
look at the Kamaru. He didn't do that to Kamaru Usman. Didn't do it to Gilbert
He did.
Burns. We go in the third, fourth, and fifth.
He gave Usman for the first 3 rounds a nightmare. He was
And he gassed
taking
out,
him down.
but he
Yeah.
couldn't finish him.
That's
That's
true.
an older
True.
Usman.
That's true.
That's not a vintage Usman.
was-
in their prime?
He was
DDP?
taking him down decisively.
Who was
though. He out
Khamzat
wrestling.
supposed to fight? That was a last-minute replacement. Was Usman? Who
Nate
was
Diaz.
Khamzat?
And then they put in.
That's right.
And then they put in
That was-
Kevin Holland.
That would have been hard.
That would have
been
been
bad.
Yeah,
That would have been hard.
The UFC was like, we're getting backlash.
That would have been.
We're getting some backlash
That
here.
would've
Let's
been
Kevin, you
crazy.
down? He's like, I guess.
Chael Sonnen also chimed in, giving Chimaev the edge overall, but not dismissing Duplessis' chances. He stressed the importance of the first few minutes, suggesting that if Duplessis can avoid getting taken down early, the momentum could shift dramatically. Sonnen's view was that Chimaev's plan to dominate with wrestling isn't always foolproof, especially against someone who can grapple back and resist the takedown.
How is he going to beat him? Because I am not fully confident that Chimaev can take him down at will. I'm not fully confident he can keep him there. We're going to know in the very first round. If Drakus gets taken down in the first round, things are going to unravel very quickly. But if he can defend a takedown for the entire first 5 minutes, it's only going to get easier to stay on your feet after that. It's an exciting match. I would expect Chimaev to be the favorite, and he is.
Darren Till, who trained with Chimaev and fought Duplessis, leaned toward Chimaev getting the win. However, Strickland brought up a good counterpoint by noting that fighters who regularly train with strong wrestlers often figure out how to nullify that strength. He was honest in admitting that Duplessis might struggle with Chimaev's wrestling, but he also said that if Duplessis does manage to keep the fight standing or defend well, he's likely to take over. From his own sparring sessions with Chimaev, Strickland felt confident that Duplessis has what it takes to survive the early storm.
If I went back to the UFC now, as the middleweight I could be, I'd fucking tear that Drakus' head off. Tell Drakus I said fuck him, by the way. The little fucking gobshite. Because I can't stand his guts, because he's so shit, he's so good.
You think he beats Khamzat, your boy?
No, look, I'm with respect, I'm never going to look past Strickland because he trains hard, he's super dedicated, he's super strong, and he's got that awkward style that doesn't make any sense. I think Khamzat will beat him inside the 2 rounds, I really do believe that. But look, Khamzat knows, I was speaking to Khamzat on the FaceTime the other day because I'm meant to be going out to Dubai to help with the camp. Khamzat knows it's a tough fight, but, you know, Khamzat trains like a beast. I do think Khamzat gets it in 2 rounds done. Do you know what I'm saying?
By the way, you're looking svelte. You're looking great. How much are you weighing right now?
Everyone's been saying that, you know,
Yeah.
that I'm looking fabulous.
Yeah, you are.
Do I look, Ariel, let's just go, do I look fabulous?
I think you look fabulous. The teeth are just like blinding me. I wish I was wearing sunglasses right now, but you're looking fit. Way fitter than the last time, right?
Yeah.
I thought you were going to show me another thing there. It was getting very low, the camera. It was weird.
Whoa.
It was uncomfortable.
Whoa. Only my missus gets to see that, Ariel. Don't be disrespectful.
Dominic Cruz took a more tactical route in his analysis. He complimented Duplessis' ability to switch stances and use smooth footwork, suggesting these skills could make it difficult for Chimaev to secure clean takedowns. Cruz noted that Duplessis tends to stay calm under pressure, which could help him avoid making critical mistakes early. Unlike some of Chimaev's previous opponents who crumbled under his early attacks, Cruz sees Duplessis as someone who can hold it together and stay in the fight.
Khamzat and
Drakus.
Man, I actually really like Dricus right now, the way he's looking. Like I said in the Schmo interview, he doesn't really stay on the center line. His striking and the stance switch really supports him in the rest of the takedown defense. Because as long as you don't sit right in front of a guy consistently, it's hard to get a hold of the legs and shoot on you. So he's also very big and strong, so I think he can challenge the strength of Chimaev in the first 2 rounds, which a lot of people haven't been able to rival. Just the strength alone has been too much, and I think Dricus is sturdy enough and big enough. He can challenge it, but I will say I think it might be the toughest fight of his career so far.
Kamaru Usman, who has first-hand experience fighting Chimaev, praised the grappler's top control and suffocating pressure, but he also acknowledged that Duplessis presents a unique set of challenges. Usman described Duplessis as mentally tough and physically resilient, which could prevent Chimaev from walking through him like he has done with others. Though Usman didn't make a firm prediction, he made it clear that Chimaev shouldn't expect an easy night.
Khamzat Chimaev on your back round 1 is not easy to get off. And then he was able to sink that in, and that goes to show how strong of a squeeze this freaking dude had.
Could he pull that same style against Dricus Du Plessis? Because I will say this.
1000%.
Rainier de Ridder, another respected fighter in the middleweight scene, offered his own bold prediction. He didn't just see Duplessis as a threat, he actually predicted a late finish in favor of the South African. According to de Ridder, the early rounds might see Chimaev landing takedowns and controlling the fight, but Duplessis has the kind of endurance and tenacity that allows him to improve as the fight goes on. He believes Duplessis will not only survive the early pressure, but begin to dominate in the later rounds, potentially securing a stoppage in the championship rounds.
No, he's absolutely not. I know you've been asked a million times about like the Khamzat and Dricus fight, but now that we do have a date, like a location, all that kind of stuff, maybe you can talk about it in more real terms since we know when and where it's happening.
Yeah, it's August, and where is it?
Chicago.
Oh,
August 16th.
okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So apparently Khamzat can fight in the US.
Yeah, yeah. Now Trump is in office.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, we talked about it before. Do you still feel Khamzat has the advantage there?
No, I think Dricus is gonna. I think Dricus will win. Yeah.
Robert Whitaker, having observed both Khamzat Chimaev and Dricus Du Plessis up close, offered a thoughtful breakdown of their upcoming clash. While acknowledging Chimaev's explosive entries and fast transitions as major weapons, Whitaker pointed out that Du Plessis could present a trickier puzzle than people expect. He noted the South African's unpredictable timing, physical strength, and awkward movement as attributes that might throw Chimaev off rhythm. According to Whitaker, the stylistic contrast makes this fight more complex than previous bouts Chimaev has faced, including his matchup with Sean Strickland.
Khamzat against Dricus or Sean, do you think he'd be the favorite against either of them?
I think he just takes him down, and like how he beat Usman, how he beat Joe Burns, I can see those sort of fights. I think he'd have more success with Strickland than Du Plessis. Duplessis is like a big dude, but ultimately stopping that first takedown is so crazy. The way he shoots in that first shot is crazy. How do you stop that dude? Jump over him. Like
Bo Nickal, known for his own elite wrestling credentials, placed Chimaev in a rare category of modern pressure-based grapplers who are redefining the sport. He compared Chimaev's relentless style and control to that of other dominant forces like Islam Makhachev and Merab Dvalishvili, suggesting that Chimaev represents the cutting edge of MMA evolution. For Nickal, Chimaev's blend of pace, physicality, and grappling IQ makes him a prototype of what the next generation of fighters will strive to become.
I would, just based on the styles, I just think the grappling style, I might be biased. I'm definitely biased, but I think the grappling style is so hard to beat, and it's so hard to defend against. And I guess if you look at it from a analytical point of view, you have so many. It's really become the dominant force in the sport. You got Merab, you got Islam, you got Bilal, you got Khamzat. You even have you can even look at Topuria. Obviously, people know he's more of a boxing style, and he does a lot more striking. But his background is wrestling. He did that before anything else, and so it's really wrestlers that are dominating, grapplers that are dominating the sport right now, and so I think that I would give the edge to Khamzat.
Meanwhile, Luke Rockhold voiced skepticism about Chimaev's ability to sustain his aggressive pace over 5 full rounds. While he didn't question Chimaev's raw power or skill, Rockhold highlighted du Plessis' resilience and conditioning as potential game changers in a drawn-out war. In his opinion, if the fight extends past the initial surge from Chimaev, the tide could shift in favor of du Plessis, whose toughness and stamina may allow him to outlast and overwhelm a tiring opponent.
It's not always about the most technical guy, you know, it's the guy who wants it more. And
how do you think he fares against Khamzat?
I think Khamzat is a go for broke kind of guy. Khamzat, if he can't out wrestle you, he can't control you in that fierce state of direction of what he does, you know, I think he'll break. Khamzat will get him if he'll get him, but if he can't get him, it's going to be a hard 3rd, 4th, and 5th round.
Right.
I think that's going to be all Dricus.
So if it goes into the championship rounds, you like the champ?
Yeah, 100%.
Who wins, Dricus du Plessis or Khamzat Chimaev?
Veteran fighter Yoel Romero offered a slightly different perspective, leaning toward Chimaev due to his high-level grappling pedigree. Romero sees Chimaev's wrestling as the key differentiator in a contest where positional control could be the deciding factor. His belief in Chimaev's ability to dominate close-range exchanges stems from the latter's background and execution of wrestling fundamentals, which Romero views as superior to most in the division.
1640. Khamzat.
You have what? Sorry, who do you think? 60 Dricus?
16% for Chimaev and 40% for du Plessis. Yeah, that's a what.
So you think Chimaev? You're kind of slightly leaning towards Chimaev.
Yes.
Why? Why do you think?
Wrestling. The wrestling. The wrestling for Chimaev right now is very, very dangerous.
Ilia Topuria, who maintains relationships with both athletes, remained mostly impartial but slightly favored Chimaev for his relentless style and finishing mindset. He described the matchup as incredibly close, characterizing it as a high-stakes battle between 2 elite competitors. Rather than viewing it through the lens of dominance or upset, Topuria saw the fight as one of the most evenly matched and unpredictable contests in recent memory.
Topuria wished Chimaev and du Plessis good luck as he is friends with both of them.
He's the man. He's a savage. He calls him his shots. He finishes his opponents. When he goes inside the octagon, you know that that guy goes for the finish. He's not looking for the decision. That's why I respect Khamzat. He's a fucking beast. So he deserves to fight for the title as soon as possible. We're gonna have an amazing fight because I love Dricus du Plessis. He's a great human being. I have a great relationship with him. I have a great relationship with Khamzat also. But as
UFC 319 approaches, the opinions remain split. On one side, fighters and analysts point to Chimaev's suffocating wrestling and early aggression as key advantages. On the other, a growing number of voices believe du Plessis has the grit, cardio, and skill set to withstand the storm and turn the tide. What's clear is that this won't be a walk in the park for either man. With contrasting styles and high stakes, the fight promises to answer big questions about both fighters, and maybe even change the direction of the middleweight division.